Hello viewers, in this video lecture I am going to lecture on the characteristics, the traits that almost every Shakespearean tragedy will have in it. Tragedy is defined as a composition in which something untoward happens to the chief characters, that is the protagonists. But an authority on Shakespearean drama called A.C. Bradley delved deep into the plays written by the maestro, and he came up with different characteristics that are quite common to almost all the tragic dramas written by Shakespeare. In this video lecture, I will discuss them one by one. The first one is noble birth of the hero. In almost all tragic plays of Shakespeare, the hero is not a commoner. He has a noble birth. He belongs to a very important family. For example, Hamlet is the Prince of Denmark, Macbeth is a very famous general, and so is Othello. Here, Shakespeare seems to have followed the Aristotelian dictum that the hero of a tragedy must be larger than life. Because, says Aristotle, the higher the estate, the greater the fall. When we see a person, a great person, who is endowed with all the good qualities, having a fall, it automatically creates some kind of fear and horror in the minds of those who are watching this particular drama. So says Aristotle in his Poetics. And Shakespeare also follows this particular thing in all his tragic dramas. Every Shakespearean tragic hero is of a noble birth. He has a high standing in society. Next thing is, the hero has a fall from glory to the depths of degradation. This hero, who is born into a very renowned family, who has got a noble birth, who is considered to be greater than all other people, falls from glory, the heights of glory, to the depths of degradation. This is another important characteristic that we find in most of Shakespearean tragedies. The hero, who is having a noble birth, has a very great fall. He falls from the heights of glory to the depths of degradation. And this fall is the result of a tragic flaw in the character of the protagonist or the hero. All these people, Hamlet, Macbeth, Othello, King Lear, all these people have one tragic flaw or the other in their characters. This particular thing called tragic flaw is also known as error in judgment. And this is roughly the same idea as mentioned as hamartia in Aristotle's Poetics. For example, Hamlet is given to indecision. Hamlet is having a wonderful character, but at the same time, there is one small flaw in his character, and that is he is indecisive. He is incapable of taking the right decision at the right time. If we go to Macbeth, Macbeth is again a perfect character except for one tragic flaw, and that is vaulting ambition. The tragic flaw in Macbeth is vaulting ambition. And King Lear. King Lear is again a noble personality except for the fact that he has hubris in him. Hubris means a lot of pride in one's own self. So, like this, Othello, he is quite good, has one small flaw in his character, and in the case of Othello, it is his credulousness. That is, Othello believes in almost everything that he is fed on. Whatever somebody says, he readily accepts without questioning, without applying his mind. And the next point that we find in Shakespearean tragic plays is this particular thing called conflict. And here, conflict is not of one type. We get to see two different types of conflicts in a Shakespearean tragic drama: conflict within and conflict without. Conflict within means or refers to the kind of confusion that is playing out in the mind of the central character or the hero. And at the same time, conflict without means the tug of war that the hero has got with other characters in the drama. For example, Hamlet gets to know that his father was killed not by a poisonous snake but by his uncle himself. Now, he doesn't know how long his uncle Claudius had been in relationship with his mother Gertrude. At one point of time, he feels that he himself could be the outcome of the illicit relationship that his uncle has with his own mother. Now he tries to kill himself. He wants to kill himself because he is illegally begotten. But then he thinks, God has forbidden one from taking one's own life. And he falls in the dilemma whether to take his own life or continue with all the problems that he has to face in life. So there is a lot of conflict going on within the mind of Hamlet, and outwardly he has to fight with Claudius and his henchmen. So these are the two different types of conflicts that we see in Shakespearean tragic dramas. Macbeth, if you take the case of Macbeth, Macbeth after killing Duncan becomes the king, and a lot of unease is there in his mind. Macbeth kills Duncan with the ambition of becoming the king. But after becoming the king, his mind moves to the second prediction made by the weird sisters. That is, the progeny, the children of Banquo, will become kings after Macbeth. Now Macbeth wants this not to happen. He wants to avoid this particular scenario from taking place. So he tries to kill Banquo's son Fleance, where he fails in doing so, and at the same time, outwardly, he has to fight with Malcolm, Macduff, and all others. So these two types of conflict can be seen in Macbeth as well. The other important aspect of a Shakespearean tragedy is the supernatural element. We don't have even a single tragic play by Shakespeare wherein there is no supernatural element. For example, let us inspect this particular element in the famous tragedies of Shakespeare. If you take Hamlet, Hamlet has got the apparition of Senior Hamlet. Senior Hamlet's ghost plays a very important role in Hamlet. In Macbeth, the three sisters, the weird sisters, or the witches, have a very important role to play. Next thing is soliloquy. Soliloquy is a speech made to oneself. A character standing on stage utters his thoughts aloud And this particular thing is known as soliloquy. And even if there are other characters present on the stage, we have to assume that whatever is being said by this character is inaudible to those characters. And almost all these tragedies have soliloquies in them. And Hamlet's soliloquy, starting with to be or not to be, that was the question, is very famous. And there are quite a number of soliloquies which have become quotable quotes. One such is Macbeth's soliloquy about life, where he speaks to himself these lines: Out, out, brief candle, life is but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets is ever upon the stage and then is heard no more. It's a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. So these kind of addresses made to one's own self by the chief characters in a tragedy are known as soliloquies. Next is the presence of the fool. In tragic dramas, Shakespeare introduces the character of the fool. The fool has a very important role to play in the play King Lear. And it is generally believed that Shakespeare puts all his philosophy in the mouth of the fool. It is the fool who is the most intelligent person in a Shakespearean tragic play. Next, character is destiny. By looking at the life and times of the tragic hero, we get to understand the importance that is attached to character in one's life. This way, we get to learn from Shakespearean tragic heroes that character is very important and even a small flaw therein can ruin our lives. Here, Shakespeare seems to be following the Aristotelian principle that literature must teach something. That is, Aristotle believed the didacticism of literature. Literature, instead of being for its own sake, should have the aspect of teaching something, some moral, some lesson, or something useful to the people who watch it or read it. So these are the characteristics that almost every Shakespearean tragic play will have. Thank you.